And welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, and I am with a shepherd mix who goes by the name of Foxy Lady. And she is a product of our animal shelter, but she's currently at the Humane Society, where they are adopting animals very, very quickly. And with us in this segment is Christy Counts. Christy is president of the board of the Humane Society. Thanks for coming to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you for having me.
And you have a friend in your lap.
I do. This is Cleo. Cleo is a 11-week-old Golden Retriever Labrador mix.
Mm-hmm. And why don't you, as briefly as you can, describe the relationship between the Humane Society and the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter and the direction we're trying to head.
Well, about 2 years ago, we established a memorandum of understanding with the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter in a true partnership, and we're collaborating on our collective goal of having Oklahoma City become a no-kill city. And so we've implemented a lot of collaborative programs, and one of them is our adoption program. So we pull animals from the shelter, and they come into our adoption program, and we place them as well. And that way, you know, animals that go to Oklahoma City Animal Shelter could either end up at the Humane Society or stay at the shelter for adoption.
And we're doing better.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, at the close of this past fiscal year, 2,800 more animals have found new homes than last year.
So 2,800 animals are alive today, and in a previous year we may not have been able to handle that.
Exactly. And the cool thing about that is the intake at the shelter actually increased. So what that shows is this partnership's working, and the shelter's really, really working hard to make it.
Now, you're also working on the spay-neuter program. Why don't you explain that, and maybe we can get the number that the shelter has to deal with reduced long-term.
Yes, and that's a very important preventative measure, implementing low-cost spay-neuter clinics throughout the city. We already have one open on the south side. We're fully funded to open up our second one on the northeast side, which should open probably in April of 2009.
And the spay-neuter clinic is designed to do what specifically?
To serve low-income people who would have a problem otherwise getting their animal spayed or neutered to private vet, which generally would be several $100s. Mm-hmm. At the low-income clinic, you can get your pet spayed or neutered for about $35, $45. Mm-hmm.
How do we find out where those are located?
You can get on the website, okhumane.org, or you can contact the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter. They would know as well about how to find these services.
Okay, so if you or you know someone who would be considered low income and really needs to have a spay or neutered pet, you can take that pet at no charge to one of these facilities, not no charge, but a lower cost, and they will handle the surgery for you.
Yes, and they also do preventative vaccinations, which is also really important. I mean, a large portion of the animals that come into the shelter are sick, and so if we had a higher percentage of our public's animals vaccinated, that wouldn't be the case as well.
And this is really changing the direction of the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter, and we're really getting the private sector more involved, and you in establishing this association and been able to tap into a number of revenue sources that hadn't necessarily been funding animal welfare previously. Now, I understand that we have an opportunity to bid for a significant grant that might, again, fundamentally change the way we operate.
Absolutely. We are competing in a competition called Join ASPCA Mission Orange, and we're one of 3 finalist cities in the country. We're competing for a $600,000 grant from the ASPCA in New York City. And that is a collective partnership, again, with the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter and the Humane Society we're together competing for that. And if we win that grant, then we'll divvy that up and put that into our collaborative programming.
And long term, how do you see all this working out? What would you like to see once we've completely evolved into a much better system? How many systems will we have? What will our spay and neuter numbers be like? And where will our adoption clinics be located?
Well, I think that we would be really, really good at a 75% live release rate from the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter. We'd have multiple low-cost spay-neuter clinics around that would make it very easy for people to get their pets spayed and neutered. And we would have a lot of adoption centers, much like the new one we just opened on Northwestern, available to the public so we could increase our market share so people are choosing to adopt as opposed to purchasing puppies.
And do you need volunteers?
Oh, yeah. We always need volunteers.
Well, how can people volunteer?
They can get on our website at okhumane.org, and there's a volunteer application online, and they can volunteer in a variety of different programs.
That's great. Well, if someone out there doesn't necessarily want to volunteer, but they just kind of want to support what you're doing, what should they do?
They can get online as well, and there's a way you can sponsor a pet during their stay. They could also come into the adoption center. We've got a retail store in there that benefits the Humane Society, so they could buy their pet products there.
Okay. Well, as we tape the show, Foxy Lady and what was your dog's name?
Cleo.
Cleo are available for adoption.
Yes.
And if you come by one of the adoption agencies And these two are gone. There's going to be another one right behind that's just as cute.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We really are trying to increase the number of pets that are adopted in Oklahoma City, and also trying to increase the number of animals that are spayed and neutered. So long term, we can take better care of our pet population. We have a long way to go, but we're making considerable progress, and we're indebted to Christy and her board of directors and all the volunteers with the Humane Society that are helping our tremendous staff at the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter help resolve this problem for all of us. Thanks to everyone involved, and please get out and support this program. We'll be back with more of the Mayor's Magazine right after this.